Hi everyone. In this lecture, we will look into some important industrial ways to prepare alcohols, right? Industrial preparation of alcohols. And when we say industrial preparation, that means we are doing it on a large scale, not on a small scale that we do using chemical reactions in lab, right? So the first process that we will see is OXO process, right? And then we'll look into the preparation of alcohol from molasses, right? Preparation of ethanol from molasses or sugars. So first is your OXO process, right? OXO process, what we do is, in OXO process, we take ethene, right? Ethene with carbon monoxide and hydrogen, right? Is in the presence of cobalt carbonyl at high temperature and pressure, right, will form an aldehyde, right? It will form propanaldehyde, CH3 CH2 CHO, right? It will form an aldehyde first, CH3 CH2 CHO. Now in the second step, this aldehyde will undergo hydrogenation, and we know that in hydrogenation what we do, hydrogenation is a reduction process where reaction will take place with hydrogen in the presence of a catalyst nickel, right? So this CH3 CH2 CHO plus hydrogen, this is your hydrogenation reaction. Second step is your hydrogenation, right? In the presence of nickel catalyst, it will form CH3 CH2 CH2OH, right? This is your propanol, right? I hope this is clear. This is your propanol, or we also call it as propane 1-ol, because at first carbon atom you have OH, right? I hope this is simple. You just need to remember two reactions. The name is OXO process, where ethene is treated with carbon monoxide and hydrogen in the presence of catalyst cobalt carbonyl at high temperature and pressure, where it forms an aldehyde, propanaldehyde. Now this aldehyde will further undergo a second reaction, which is your hydrogenation reaction, and we know that hydrogenation is where hydrogen gas will react with an organic compound in the presence of nickel catalyst, right? So when this aldehyde will react with hydrogen in the presence of nickel catalyst, it will form an alcohol, right? So this is done on a large scale, and we call this process as OXO process. This is an industrial preparation of alcohol, right? I hope this is clear. Now we'll look into the second most important way to prepare alcohol industrially, right? From sugars, right? We'll see from where we get sugars and what treatment do we need to do, right, to prepare alcohol from the sugars, right? So mainly the process like that we would be doing now, we call it as fermentation of sugars. These kind of methods are still followed on a large scale in India, right? So the second way is fermentation of sugars. Fermentation of sugars. From where you get sugars? We do fermentation of molasses. Remember, molasses contains sugars, right? And what is molasses? When we prepare sugar, right, industrially, when sugar, we know that sugar is in crystalline form, right? Sugar has small crystals. So when sugar, while in the process of making sugar, when sugar crystallizes, right, a liquid is left, right? After the crystallization of sugar, that liquid is a brown colored syrupy liquid, right? Brown colored syrupy liquid that contains around 40 to 60% of sugars, right? But these sugars cannot be recovered, right, in a profitable way. So what we do is, we take molasses that contains around 40 to 60% sugars, then we subject it to fermentation, right? Fermentation is it's kind of a chemical reaction, or to be specific we call it a biochemical reaction, where bigger molecules are broken down into smaller ones in the presence of biocatalysts, enzymes, right? So enzymes are nothing but they are catalysts, right? That these catalysts catalyzes your biochemical reactions, right? So fermentation is basically a biochemical reaction where bigger molecules are broken down into smaller, right? So what we are basically doing here is these sugars that are in molasses in the presence of enzymes, right? We need to see from where we get enzyme. In this process we add yeast. Yeast contain enzymes that will break down bigger sugar molecules into smaller ones, and then further they will react to form alcohol, right? Let's look into it. Then we also need to distillate, right? To increase the concentration of sugar we need to distillate it. And there is another way which is to make alcohol from substances that contain starch, like potatoes, wheat, barley. We'll just discuss that, right? So let's first see fermentation. Fermentation, now we know that it's a biochemical reaction where bigger molecules are broken down into smaller ones in the presence of catalyst. In the presence of better, right, enzymes. Enzymes are nothing but biochemical catalysts, right? Biocatalysts. So mainly bigger molecules, right, are broken down into smaller, right, in the presence of enzymes, right? And from where you get these enzymes? From yeast, right? And yeast contains enzymes like invertase, and you have zymase, right? I hope this is clear till this point. Now let's see what we do with molasses. You have molasses. What we will do is we will first add water to molasses, because molasses contains around 40 to 60% of sugars, right? So the first thing that you will do is you dilute it with water. It will bring down the concentration of sugars to 10%, right? So dilution will bring down the concentration of, down arrow means it will bring down the concentration of sugar concentration to 10%, right? Now what we will do is we add yeast to it, right? We add yeast to it, and we know that yeast contains invertase and zymase. We add yeast to it, then we add ammonium salts to it, right? Ammonium sulfate and ammonium phosphate. Right? And ammonium phosphate. You add these ammonium salts to it. What these ammonium salts will do, they will act as food for yeast, for this yeast, because we know that we need yeast. Yeast is important because it is yeast only that will change these sugars into alcohol, right? So we add ammonium salts. Ammonium salts will act as food for yeast cells, right? And then we add some HCl also to it, hydrochloric acid. What it will do is it will kill bacteria. If there is any bacteria, it will kill bacteria. So basically it will check the growth of bacteria, unwanted bacteria, right? So it will check for unwanted bacteria. Right? So you have diluted sugar, diluted molasses. On dilution, the sugar concentration came down to 10%. Then you added yeast to it. right, which is a catalyst which contains an invertase enzymase. Then you added ammonium salts to it, which will act as food for yeast cells. Then you add some hydrochloric acid to it so that unwanted bacteria may not grow, because we know that acid can kill bacteria. But this acid concentration should not exceed, right? Now, what we will do is, we will, to this mixture, we maintain the temperature at 30 degrees Celsius, right? And we will leave everything like this for a few days, right? At 30 degrees Celsius, we will leave it for a few days, so that this mixture can change into alcohol, right? Remember, temperature 30 degrees Celsius, leave it for a few days in the absence of air or oxygen. In the absence of air or oxygen, right? I hope till this point it is clear. Now, when you leave everything like this for a few days, then biochemical reaction will take place, fermentation will take place, which are biochemical reactions where bigger molecules will break down into smaller ones, and then it will get converted into alcohol in the presence of these enzymes, invertase and zymase, right? So let's quickly look into it. Let's look at the chemical reactions that will take place. Chemical reactions that will take place when you leave it for a few days. Fermentation reactions basically. So sucrose, sugars are what? Sugars contain sucrose, right? So here, your sucrose C12H22O11 will hydrolyze, right, and will change into glucose and fructose, right? It changes into glucose and fructose. And glucose and fructose, you can see, both have same formula, but they have different structures, right? If you look at the structure of these, we'll see that in a chapter biomolecules, they have different structures, although they have same chemical formula, right? So first reaction that will take place in this mixture, right, where you have sugar, yeast, ammonium sulfate, HCl, is this, right, where this sucrose will change into glucose and fructose. Now this glucose and fructose, will change into ethanol, right? This will change into C2H5OH plus CO2, right? And it takes place, as I said, you have added yeast to this mixture, and yeast contains invertase and zymase. So invertase will catalyze the first hydrolytic reaction where sucrose gets converted into glucose and fructose, and second reaction would be catalyzed with the help of enzyme called zymase, right, where it changes into ethanol and CO2, right? I hope till this point it is clear. Now, when the concentration of this alcohol, right, will reach 10% to 14%, this zymase, the action of zymase would be inhibited. That means we will stop it, right? When the concentration of alcohol goes to 10 to 14%, right? So what you get is the fermented liquid, right? At this point, what you have is, where you have this ethanol, right? What you have is fermented liquid. fermented liquid, we call it as mash, right? Sorry, we call it as wash. Sorry, this fermented liquid is wash that contains 8 to 14 or 10 to 14% of alcohol. Right now, what we need to do is we will, in order to increase the concentration of alcohol, because finally we are making alcohol, we need to increase the concentration of alcohol in this fermented liquid, right? So what we will do is, in order to increase the concentration of alcohol, we will do a process called as fractional distillation, right? So, and one more thing, if you remember here, I said that it should be done in the absence of air. It should be done in the absence of oxygen or air. What will happen if we do it in the presence of air, right? If there is air, if we will not do it in the absence of air, this ethanol will get oxidized into acetic acid, into ethanoic acid, right? And we know that these acids are sour in taste. So in the presence of oxygen, your alcohol will change into acid, right? Carboxylic acid, ethanoic acid, which will make it sour, right? So now we know that why we do it. So that because this ethanol will change in the presence of oxygen, ethanol will change into ethanoic acid, right, which has a sour taste, right? So to prevent this reaction, we do it in the absence of air, right? Now you have fermented liquid, we call it as wash, which will undergo fractional distillation, right? We will do, it is subjected to fractional distillation, right? Now to this fermented liquid, we will make it to undergo fractional distillation. And if you remember, we have done in physical chemistry about fractional distillation and azeotropes, right? If you haven't done what is azeotropes, you can look at back the playlist called solutions. There you have a topic azeotropes, right? You will understand what is azeotrope. But just to give you a small brief idea, when you do fractional distillation of this fermented liquid that contains 10 to 14% sugar, 10 to 14% alcohol, some book says 8 to 10% alcohol, right? What we are basically doing is we are increasing the percentage of alcohol, right? So when you do fractional distillation, what we are basically doing is we are purifying it, right? We are purifying it by removing kind of water from it, right? And if you remember, if you have this alcohol plus water here, right? We know that alcohol is more volatile, so when you heat it, it will vaporize, right? And here you have more percentage of more alcohol, right? So when you distillate these vapors and you collect the distillate here, this distillate is liquid now, this contains more alcohol, right? Now since it contains more alcohol, you can purify it till 95%. So the resulting will contain 95% alcohol and 5% water, right? Now this 95% alcohol and 5% water cannot be further purified, right? Or the percentage of alcohol cannot be further increased here. Why? Because this has become now something called as azeotrope, right? This has become an azeotrope. And we know that azeotropes are constant boiling mixtures. If you remember from physical chemistry, this is your constant boiling mixture. What is constant boiling mixture? Here, like I said, here you have say 14% alcohol, right, and 50% water, right? So when you heat it, in these vapors you have because alcohol is more volatile, right? So you will have more alcohol concentration above in the vapors. So here you may have 50% alcohol, right, and 50% water, right? And now this distillate will contain, the first distillate, let's say, will contain 50% alcohol and 50% water. Now you further distillate it. Now less water will go in the vapors in the distillate finally, right? Now further you purify it to 75% and you have 25% water now left, right? Because in the distillate now you have 50% alcohol and 50% water. Now when you heat it, when you evaporate it, since alcohol is more volatile, so more alcohol will go in here, right, to form vapors. So this time you have 75% alcohol and 25% water, right? By continuing this process, you will purify it till 95%, where you have 95% alcohol and 5% water, and beyond this you cannot purify it, because now if you have a distillate, right, that contains 95% alcohol and 5% water, if you further distillate it, right, if you further heat it, 95% alcohol and 5% water will go in air, right, will vaporize, right? So the vapors also contains 95% alcohol and 5% water. So when vapors will distillate, that will also contain 95% alcohol and 5% water. So further purification is not possible, right? Now what you do is, to further purify it, to make it 100%, instead of doing fractional distillation, we do something known as azeotropic, because this has become an azeotrope. We will do it azeotropic distillation, right? We do it azeotropic distillation, where you do similar fractional distillation in the presence of a solvent, right? So you do the distillation of this 95% alcohol and 5% water along with benzene solvent, right, to make it 100%, right? So this is your distillation. Now this one thing, this 95% alcohol and 4-5% water, we call it as rectified spirit. Commercially it is available as rectified spirit, right, which is your 95% alcohol and 5% water, right? I hope this is clear. So this entire process, just remember it, right? And there is another way, right? Just quickly remember it. Like we are doing fermentation of molasses, which is a brown colored syrupy liquid obtained after the fractional obtained from the crystallization of sugars, contain 40 to 60% sugars which are diluted. First step is dilution to decrease the concentration till 10%. Then you add yeast, ammonium salts, HCl to it. Then you keep it like this at a temperature of 30 degrees Celsius for a few days, where these biochemical reactions will take place, right? Where these enzymes, invertase and zymase, will convert sucrose into glucose and fructose, and zymase will convert it into this glucose and fructose into ethanol, right? Ethanol, when it contains here 10 to 14% of alcohol. When it contains 10 to 14% of alcohol, you will stop it and then you subject it to, for further purification, to fractional distillation. Fractional distillation could purify it till 95%. Then you do azeotropic, then it becomes an azeotrope, which is a constant boiling mixture. So you further purify it via azeotropic distillation, which is doing distillation in the presence of a solvent, benzene, right? I hope this is clear. Now we'll do it from starchy material, right? Preparation of alcohol from starchy material. And from where we get starchy material? From barley, from maize, potatoes, right? So what you do is you subject these starchy material, say potatoes, to a steam, to steam under high pressure, right? When you subject the starchy material to steam at high pressure, they will release starch, right? And then you add barley to it. Barley is again a source of enzymes, right, where it will break starch into smaller molecules, fermentation, right? Then you add yeast to it. Yeast will again convert it into alcohol. We'll just quickly see the reactions, right? So here you have starchy material, right? Say you have potatoes, right? You subject it to a steam, right? High steam of temperature around, right? You subject it to steam at a temperature of around 130 to 140 degrees Celsius, where the starchy material, potatoes or maize or barley, potatoes or maize or rice, will release starch, right? Then you add barley to it, right? Germinated barley that contains enzyme diastase, right? So starch, which is your C6H10O5 right, in the presence of diastase, right, which you get from germinated barley, right, C6H10O5 right, it will change into it's the similar reaction where it will hydrolyze, right, it will hydrolyze into maltose, C12H22O11, right, it will change into maltose. Now what you do is, to this starchy material you have added barley, right? From barley you get it diastase. Diastase will convert starch, this is starch, but diastase will convert starch into maltose, right? Now you add yeast to it. Now what yeast will do, right, it will do a similar reaction, right, where it's a fermentation reaction, right? Maltase, yeast contains maltase enzyme, it will change it into C6H12O6, right? Now this will, it's a similar reaction that we have done previously. Now in the presence of zymase, C6H12O6 in the presence of zymase will change it into C2H5OH plus CO2, right? And both these maltase and zymase is from yeast, and this is again from yeast, right? I hope this is clear, this is simple, right? So this is another way to prepare alcohol from starchy material, right? Here you add germinated barley that converts starch into maltose, right? And yeast provides maltase and zymase enzymes that converts both these finally into alcohol, right? I hope this is clear. Then there is another way to prepare it to how to make wine. Wine we know is made from ripen grapes, right? Grapes, you know, when they ripe they have sugars inside and outside they have yeast. So when you crush them, these sugars and yeast will come in contact with one another and they will start the fermentation reactions, right? So I hope all this is clear. Wine making, you can also read from your books, right? It's simple. Why you crush grapes? Because inside it has sugars and outside it has yeast. So when sugars and yeast come in contact, fermentation reactions will start and they form ethanol. I hope this is clear. Thanks.